Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining the Eleventy Meetup with us. So this is my second time speaking at the Eleventy Meetup. So thank you, Sia, for inviting me to speak. So today I would like to talk about building a multilingual blog with Eleventy. So allow me to introduce myself. My name is Helen Chong. My pronouns are they, them, or she, her. I'm a graphic designer turned web developer from Malaysia. I've been using Eleventy to build all my static websites for more than a year at this point, and I'm happy to report that I'm still a happy user of Eleventy, and I love the Eleventy community. So to introduce my multilingual blog, I have a personal blog named Galaxy Garden, which you can visit at blog.helenchong.org.lol. The blog is available in English and simplified Chinese. And of course, it's built with Eleventy. I named my blog Galaxy Garden because I love space, and the name is alliterative, as both the words in the name started with the letter G, which is also the basis of my design of the logo for Galaxy Garden, which I have included in my current slide. So Galaxy Garden was launched in early October 2024, which means that it has been a year since I started the blog. So I want to share my experience with making a multilingual blog. So Galaxy Garden started after I joined and obtained a lifetime membership of omg.lol, which is an independent web platform that provides various services like profile page, status update log, Mastodon instance, group chats, and so on. And yes, you can actually directly visit omg.ll by just typing omg.ll in the address bar of your browser. So the adorable heart with the smiling face in my current slide is omg.ll's logo named Premi. So omg.ll has become one of my favorite online communities, and bloggers in the community end up inspiring me to start a personal blog again, which led to the launch of Galaxy Garden. To make good use of my omg.ll membership, I decided to create a subdomain of my omg.ll address for my new personal blog. My history with blogging went as far back as the 2000s when I was a teenager. Back then, I blogged in a Mandarin Chinese, which is my native language, and there used to be a community of Malaysian Chinese bloggers. So therefore, when I got inspired by other bloggers in the omg.ll community and other parts of the indie web to return to my personal blogging roots, I decided that I want to blog in both English and Mandarin Chinese, written in simplified Chinese, as that's what I taught in Chinese schools and classes in Malaysia. Furthermore, blogging in Mandarin Chinese will give me more opportunities to continue practicing writing in a language. So the research to build, so we began to start building my multilingual blog with Eleventy. I'll start researching to how to do so. By the time I joined omg.ll, I had been a happy user for Eleventy for months. So I wanted my new personal blog to be built with Eleventy as well. I was aware that Eleventy has an official internalization plugin, but since I never built a multilingual website before, I also searched the web for guides to build a multilingual website with Eleventy and its internalization plugin. So my search led me to this Lena, that is internalization with Eleventy 2.0 and Netlify guide, which became my primary reference for building the Galaxy Garden. So Lena's guide was aimed at version 2.0 of Eleventy, which only supported the common JX syntax. So since I used a version 3.0 of Eleventy with ESM syntax for a couple of months at that point, I chose to build Eleventy with ESM. Regardless of if you use CommonJS or ESM, though, the Lena's guide provides a good starting point for building a multilingual website with Eleventy. So Lena also had created an Eleventy internalization starter project to to build an Eleventy website with localized content. Though I did not use it as I wanted to challenge myself to code and design my own multilingual Eleventy blog from on the ground up. That said, it's worth noting that the Eleventy internalization starter project have been upgraded to Eleventy 3.0 and use ESM syntax. So in addition to its official internalization plugin, Eleventy also has an official documentation for internalization, which serves as a companion page to the plugin's documentation page for recommendations on how to organize the files and set the URL style of an internalized Eleventy project. So I learned the basics of internalization and how to build an internalized Eleventy website from Eleventy's official documentation and learner's guide. From creating subfolders for English and Chinese version, creating global data for localized strings to be used in blog layouts and partials, making use of Eleventy's internalization plugin to manage links to localized content. It ended up taking me 5 days from starting to build Galaxy Garden from scratch to launching a blog with its first post. As I familiarized myself with how building a multilingual language website with Eleventy work, I also adapted parts of learner's guide and explore alternative ways to implement some features to suit my needs. So the first thing is to redirect visitors to their preferred language. A common feature in multilingual websites is redirecting visitors to a specific language version of the website by detecting the visitor's language preference in their browser settings. I set English as the default language of Galaxy Garden, but I want to redirect visitors to set Chinese as their preferred language to the Chinese version of my blog. So Learner's Guide covers how to implement it in Netlify. But when I started to build Galaxy Garden, I switched to the Hostinger's the share hosting service, which uses a Lightspeed web server to host my Eleventy websites. Nowadays, I host my websites on a virtual private server or also VPS with Caddy as the web server. So this means I need to find ways to configure the web servers to redirect visitors to my blog for their preferred language version of my blog. Since the Lightspeed web server is a drop-in replacement for a Apache HTTP server, I searched the web for how to configure the .htaccess file to redirect website visitors to their preferred language. Eventually, I discovered Mark Howell's Meets GitHub Gist for detecting the browser language and redirect the appropriate language version of the website and adapting it to my blog browser language. So as you so the code the syntax or in a HTSS files that you can show in a slide. As for unfortunately, when I switched to hosting my websites, including Galaxy Garden on a VPS with Caddy as a web server, I could not find a guide for redirecting website visitors to their preferred language in Caddy with its configuration file called Caddy file. Therefore, I needed to figure the solution out myself by reading Caddy's documentations and discover which Caddy file features I can use for that purpose. So eventually, I found a way that is by using Caddy files, a header, regex p matcher, as well as the handle and redirect directives with the syntax is also shown in the current slide. So one of my Eleventy's many amazing features is its permanent link feature. Since it allows you to customize the location of your Eleventy website, templates, and pages, you can actually use the permalink feature to generate any sort of text files in Eleventy, including web server configuration files like .htaccess or Caddy file. So to achieve this, you can create a template with your template language of choice, be it Nanjas, Liquid, Vento, or others, with the same file name as a web server configuration file. For example, if you use Nunjux as your template language and Apache web server, you can create a .htss, a .njk template file in the root of your Eleventy project folder. And then in the template files frame method, set the permalink of the template file to page.filepathstem. Eleventy's file pathstem variable will ensure the Eleventy will generate the output of your file template with the same file name without the template's file extension. So if you create a .htss.njk template file, the output will simply be .htss. You may also want your web server configuration to file to be part of your Eleventy website's content collect. You may not want to your website to be part of the Eleventy's collection. So you may set Eleventy exclude from collection.true in the front method of the file template as well. So when you try to build your Eleventy website, Eleventy will throw an error when you try to write a file without a file extension, such as a KD file. To allow missing file extensions for your web server configuration, the set at Eleventy allow missing extension true in the front method of your web server configuration file template. If you use .htss, however, you don't need to include this front method property, since Eleventy explicitly allows generating .htss without a file extension. Now here's the front method code based on my recommendations for your web server configuration file template. So language switcher is an essential feature in multilingual websites. I end up implementing my blog's language switcher links in a similar ways as the World Wide Web Consortium or W3C's website on w3c.org. So a primary language switcher on my blog's header for visiting the English or Chinese version of my blog's homepage, an individual language switcher on blog posts or pages with both English and Chinese version. This way, visitors can still visit the alternate language version of my blog even when they are viewing a page that only has one language available. So take my blog's about page as an example. If you browse my blog in English, no matter which page you are on, there will be a link on my blog's header that will take you to the Chinese version of my blog's homepage. However, since my blog's about page is available in both English and Chinese, if you view the English version of the page, below the page title and summary, there is a view the page in text along with a link to the Chinese version of the about page. So if a page on my blog is only available in one language, the view this page in text and link will not show up. So Eleventy's official internalization plugin provides the locale underscore URL and locale underscore links filters, which are helpful for generating localized page links. To generate language switcher for my blog's homepage, so first I configure the link label to my homepage in both English and Chinese in my blog's global data, as shown in my current slide. And then I use a locales underscore URL filter in my header partial. I did like as an example for this shown in the color side, this is in Nunjux and presumably liquid. So as a result, visitors who are browsing the English version of my blog will see a language switcher link in the header, to the Chinese version of my blog's homepage and vice versa. And for language switchers on individual posts and pages, Eleventy documentations for this internalization plugin provides this page is also available in example. But if a page is already available in one language, no link will be generated, leaving only this page is also available in text. To fix this, you may want to use an if statement in your template language of choice. First, you will want to initiate a variable and assign it with a value of a page.url, and then pipe locales underscore links to get the array of the other languages available for the current page. If the current page is available in other languages, the array length will be longer than 0. So if so your if statement will be checking if he array length is more than 0. And here's how to implement it in non-jobs. So as for my workflow blogging in multiple languages, I typically start with drafting a post in one language first, then translate it to the other language. So sometimes I use online translators like a Libra Translate, DeepL, and my self-hosted instance of Emoji to help me with picking the best words and phrases in the other language. But I do my best to translate my own post, my writing, and whole sentence of myself to maintain my own voice in my writing. So wrap up, the making a multilingual blog has been quite a learning experience, both content and technical wise. However, I'm happy to have made my own as I'm proud to be multilingual. Thanks to my upbringing as a Malaysian Chinese person. I have written about my experience with the World Wide Web, which English is the lingua franca from the perspective of a multilingual person of my personal blog titled Multilingualism on the Global Web, which was also my contribution to the Indie Web Carnival in October 2024. So you can check out my English and Simplified Chinese Bilingual Personal Blog on the blog.helenchong.omg.ll on the footer. I've also linked to my blog source code on my self-hosted GT instance. Okay, aside from my personal, you can find me on my developer website at helenchong.dev, if a Mastodon on and Helen Chong at social.ll, which is a omg.ll's Mastodon instance. I'm also on a Black Sky, which you can follow from Blue Sky by searching my handle, which is helenchong.omg.ll. So thank you. I'm watching my talk. So that's all from me.